Hello everyone, good evening. So today we are going to see another topic or another episode in our low code development. Okay, so what we are going to see today is whatever Pega have released in that app, like in Pega Infinity from App Studio. Okay, so whatever we can achieve newly things. Okay, so I'm trying to cover few the important one. There are like few more. Okay, where we can use generated AI and few other things from the App Studio as well, but that I'm not going to cover in this session. So on a high level, what all Pega have given okay newly from the App Studio. Okay, so creation of a new application. So we can create a new applications from the App Studio. Earlier, only the developer can create, or from the Dev Studio we can create. But still, I'll recommend okay even if the citizen developer is creating a new application, they should definitely consult with their LSAs okay before creating that. The second point is creating a walk queue. Okay, so earlier, if a citizen developer needs any walk queue for their workflow configuration or for their case and like sorry stage and steps configurations, then they have to contact her to the developer. Okay, so, but now they can like kind of a author or they can create in App Studio only. The next point is they can create a data transform as well for simple data processing. Okay, now we have an options to create from that data transform from the App Studio only. I will show you how we can do that. And then obviously like pre and post processing data transform. So in our flow actions we have an opportunity to add pre and post pre and post data transform, so that also we can do. And then last point is reuse library. So reuse library, okay, I'll cover on a high level okay what it is, or maybe I can create a separate session on that one. So let's just start. Okay, quickly I'll try to add, like we know most of the topic. Okay, if you are a developer, okay, you already do these things from the Dev Studio, but now we are going to do today from the App Studio. So even if you are a developer, okay, you should watch this video and understand it how we can do it from the App Studio, because this is the going forward. Okay, we have to use from the App Studio and we have to enable ourselves for the low code development. So let's go and do perform this task. Okay, so I have like this is a kind of a sample applications which I have already created. Okay, and you can see that I'm in App Studio. Okay, and now if I click on applications link, so now you can see that whatever the applications we have, so we have that loan applications and built on is Pega platform. Okay, you can see here as well, so that we can see the most important thing is the new applications link is there in App Studio. Earlier it was not there. So let's quickly go ahead and try to create a new application. So we can select that as we like we used to get that okay what kind of a UI you want. So I'll just select traditional UI for now. Okay, and then let's say I'll give a applications name called hiring. Okay, and you can like obviously if you're building an applications for enterprise, you need to do advanced configurations and change organization's name and other things. Otherwise Pega will take the by default one. So I'll suggest to change these things. So I'll just change so organizations, QTM and division. And why I was saying that still like you should consult before creating for any enterprise applications, before creating any applications from the App Studio, you should definitely consult with LSS. Is that how many layers you can see that, right? You need divisions layer, you need unit layer, so they can only suggest you. But for now I'll skip those layer and I'll simply go ahead and create okay so my class structure will become QTM hiring. So hiring is my application's name and then work. So let's quickly do that. We have done this multiple times. Okay, so just I'm showing that yes we can do the same things now from the App Studio as well. So that is the change. Okay, and we can do the App Studio means that citizen developer can do, and even like a developer also, if even if you're a developer you should try to do it from here only. So it will take yeah it's very quick. So now we can go to see, you can simply the way we go. So in the backend it will do the same thing, like it will create the rule set, access group and work group, whatever the default things we used to get it. So now let's quickly switch to our app. So you can see that still we are in App Studio. Okay, we have not moved to Dev Studio. Now what I'll do, I'll try to quickly configure a case type rule. Okay, so that I can show the other points like creations of a walk queue, or be it's a creation of data transform. Okay, so let's do that. So now it's asking me to create a case type. Yes, so from here only I can add. Okay, so in the hiring I can just add a hiring, or like kind of a anything. So you can see that job applications, and so see here that AI suggestions is also working. So it's giving job applications to be schedule offer letter or onboarding process. Okay, so job applications, that is what we need, okay, for the first application. So see how it is helpful. Okay, now it is giving an like kind of a suggestions as well. So I can simply go with the job applications and then use a standard template. So I can use a standard template, or I can use the AI suggest to add that life cycle and data model as well, but for now I can skip that one. Okay, so I'll just add. So this is adding a case type rule. Okay, so now we have added the case type. We'll simply add like multiple stages. So let's say create, okay, and then here we can say that applicant details. Applicant, we can just enter applicant details is my second stage, and third stage is, let's say, interview or something we can give interview, and then like just like resolve. For now I'm just giving some stage and steps. Okay, I'll just save it. Now what we want to see is that, let's say for applicant details, or that like in applicant details, right, or in the interview process when it is going, we want to send it uh, to a work basket, right? Okay, that like I'm sending a pool of like pool of that like interviewer, okay, who can take that interview and who can pick and like kind of a uh, like pick that, okay, that I'm going to take that interview, let's say. Okay, so here in this process I'll say that uh, schedule. Okay, so so anyone can pick and schedule. So when we'll route to the, for the first time we want to route it to the work queue. Okay, so if you want to route it to the work queue, okay, here you can see that earlier we had options before Infinity 23, we had an options to route to current user, specific user, or business use business logic. Now we can use work, I mean we had all those options, but if you select work queue, then you have to just select from the bottom. We don't have options to create work queue, but now we have an options to create work queue as well. Okay, so we can create here. Okay, so we can say that interviewer work basket, let's say if we want to create, so we can create from here and we can select that we want to route it to this one. Okay, so this is one advantage for the citizen developer, they don't have to go to app studio. So you can see that I created an applications, I created a case type rule, I added a stage steps, and then even I'm adding the routing to work basket as well, okay, from the app studio as well. Now let's say here only that I want to, for this stage, or let's say in this create, let's come back to this one. Okay, so here in this stage, okay, I want to add a pre and post data transform. Okay, that when we are loading the screen, we want to load that operated, like load that in interviewer details or the applicant details, sorry, applicant details. Okay, or we want to do something in the pre-processing. So if you click on configure, here we should get an options to configure pre and post data transform. So you can see that here we have an options for pre and post. Okay, so before doing that, let's add one or two fields here. So we can say applicant, and then we are going to create a data object. So we'll say that embed data, and very minimum details we'll take here. Okay, so we'll say applicant and single record, we can do that. Let's just submit, and inside that we can create few more attributes. So here I'll just like we have a separate stage to fill the applicant details. So here I'll just say that, okay, email address. So just applicant will enter email address. Like let's say we are just checking the eligibility, and then like at least minimum it will have, and then only will allow. Okay, so email address, just we want this much, one field. Okay, so here let's submit it. So now what I want is that I want pre-populated that email should come, let's say. Okay, so here we have an options to write, and you can see that we can select or we can like create a new one. So let's define a new data transform and we'll say pre-create. So in pre-create, okay, we can create and set few value. Okay, so I just want to set that just now we created that attribute, right? So we can see that applicant is coming and then applicant dot email address, and we can see gmail.com. So we can add it, and then we can create a post DT as well. So you can see that either we can select or define a new one. So I'll define a new one. So post create, and again here also we can set something. So I just want to set py note here. Okay, or on applicant I can set that applicant.py label, and here we can say that Qtometa, just we want to set something value to see. So you can see that how easily our citizen developer or even the developer can configure the data transform and add the logic from the App Studio only. Okay, so let's go back to our things and see that what all we have covered. So we covered create new application. We created that from the App Studio. Then we added a new walk queue as well. Okay, and what I'll be doing is I'll be showing that these things that these rules as well in the Dev Studio, that yes, it is really created, and like we'll review few details as well. And then as of now we have added the pre and post data transform. Okay, we'll see that how if it is really required. Let's say in a flow you want to add, okay, in between two shape you want to add a data transform, how we can do, and then that use library we'll see that. Okay, now let's say that in this applicant details we have applicant details screen. We have applicant details screen. In this, after this one, let's say you want to add a data transform, like sometimes we add, right, in a flow if you have to add. So we saw that how we can add it in a pre and post, but how we can add just a data transform. So just what we'll do, we'll go to steps and we'll say more, and in automation we can find out run data transform. Again here we can add a new one, okay, or we can like select the existing one. So let's create another one here. Okay, let's say post applicant details, create. So yeah, and then here also we can do a few more things. So let's say just say that applicant details dot py note, and we'll just see test. Let's click on save. So now everything is done. Now let's run and see that. Okay, so in the UI what we need to do is here we need to configure like to see that, right, all those values. Okay, so let's see that in the beginning at least we should see the pre value, and we can also verify on the clipboard. So I'll verify, I'm not creating a new UI, but I'll verify all those values on the clipboard and I'll show you. So here you can see that, okay, automatically came. So this value came from that pre data transform. Now let's click on create, and then we had another screen applicant details, and after applicant details, but before going to applicant details, like next screen I'll show you, because on applicant we had added another attribute. Okay, or let's just keep this one advance this case. Okay, and then let's go here the next one. So our all data transform got executed, and we can verify the value on the clipboard. So if you go to py work page and inside applicant, so you can see that py label is Qtometa, py note is test, right, and email address we did in pre. So we created 3 data transform, and all the value came from that 3 data transform. So basically now we can easily do that, right? So more and more feature we are getting, okay, or more and more feature is getting available from the App Studio. Okay, so it will help both, okay, citizen developer and that like the normal developer as well. And I always recommend, even if you're a developer, if you know the App Studio or like Dev Studio, still you start continue from here, because you'll get lot of advantages if you do it from here. and it is faster as well. Okay, now let's move it to dev studio and see these rules. Okay, so what we will be doing is that we'll go to data transform rule records, and we'll see that we should ideally see that the three data transform rules should have got created. So let's go to that one. So here we can go to data transform and we should see three rule. Okay, you can see that post applicant details and then post create and pre-create, and it got created in the job applications class. Okay, so this is something, okay, which you might have to take a look. Okay, because let's say you just want to create in work layer. Okay, so but by default, okay, it's taking that case type class. Okay, so maybe in future Pega will add that feature also, that you can create in a in a particular layer, like let's say work. Okay, or if you want to just create a QTM and hiring layer. Okay, so this I can say that it is a downside. Okay, because maybe if a citizen developer is doing a lot of work, then the app studio developer or the dev studio developer, okay, or the developer has to do some retrofit. Okay, delete this rule and move it to that correct layer, so that you might have to, you can face some challenges. Okay, but rules got created. Now let's see that where this rule is. So post and pre should be referred in that post and pre should be referred in our flow actions, right? So let's see that. So in create we can see this here. See here in actions pre and post we can see that. So all those things we can configure. At least let's say that if you have a like citizen developer who know that, so basic structure can be created, and if let's say this pre-created and post-create you want to move it to up one layer up, okay, that a developer can do little bit, okay, retrofitting. Okay, so this is fine, right? It's helping it. Okay, now let's go to that. Let's create one or two when rule. Okay, so this is to for that our last topic. Okay, reuse library. So I'll just create a when rule, like let's say test one, test two. I'll just create to show you few things. So let's create in job. Let's just save it. Okay, let's create another rule, two rule I just want to create. Okay, so we created two rules. Okay, but before we move to this one, right, we'll see that work basket as well, because we had created one work baskets. We'll go to organizations and then work queue and see here we created interviewer work basket, so we can see that work basket also from here, and it took like all those default things. Okay, so organizations it took, and then default work group, so it would have been taken from our, like I'm assuming that from our operator. Let's verify what is the default work group from our for our application for our operator. So we can see the default my org, but let's say you want to like beforehand only you can verify these things. Okay, so that you don't have to do, let's say you want a different work group. Okay, so you can give that that citizen developer that work group and it will work fine, so you don't have to do any rework. Now let's move to app studio again and see that reuse library. So we'll click on library. So here what we can see that whatever we have created, everything is showing. So we have, as of now, we created one application, case type, like, and then inside the data object we created one applicant, so we can see that applicant also. And then logic, whatever we have like written, it's a showing all the hiring. See, implementation data class. So see all those logic it's a showing. I don't know why my like the when rule I like the when rule which I created, it's not showing. Let me see that. Okay, let me go to the dev studio and see that. So it is there in this one, but why it is not showing? Maybe because I have not marked as a relevant. Okay, so this is the kind of a downside, right? If you create any rule from the app studio, you might not see in app if you create any rule directly from the dev studio, you might not see in app studio. That is where I'm always recommending to start from the app studio. So even the when rule can be created from the app studio. So now let's refresh and see if I can see the two when rule which I had created. We'll go to logic. still it is not showing. Ideally it should show that. Okay, so basically here what I'm trying to show, that we can see all the logic and everything, so that like what happens, right? Many of the times we don't know that if this rule is there or not. So few of the logics and like case types we can see here, and we can reuse that. Okay, and I'll read more on this one, and I'll create another video. And then obviously from here, like we can add components as well. So this you must have seen in the applications rule, we can add a component, right? So instead of doing that, we can do it from here as well. Okay, so basically this screen we used to get from that our application. So inside applications we have an options to add components. If I'll open my applications, we have an options here to add that component. So that now we are getting it to add, say here, so here the manage component, right? So the same screen we are getting from the reuse library. Okay, so basically it will help App Studio developer, okay, that what all rule, like let's say either the another citizen developer have created or like developer have created, they can see that. Okay, so Java applications case type, see it came test1 test2. This is what I was saying, right? So now if you want to use it, right, so you can use it anywhere, you can edit it from here. So I think we cannot edit, but yeah, at least you can see that what all logic we have created. Okay, all those things, even the data transform, we can see that. So basically all those rules we are seeing here, so it will be easy to reuse it, right? Like you don't have to go in each like kind of a, like let's say if I have to search data transform, so I have to go to records data transform. If I have to search when rule, then I have to records decision and then when rule, right? But here you can see everything here only. So it will definitely help, be it's a developer or citizen developer, okay, in reusing that. Okay, so otherwise many of the times you have seen that different developers have written the rule, okay, for the same purpose, multiple rules for the same purpose. So I think this is what I wanted to cover. Okay, and I'll create another video on the Gen AI or the generative AI. But for now, this is it. Okay, and you can try all these things, okay, from the App Studio, and let me know if you face an issue. Okay, and again I'll say these things, that don't think that you are a developer and you know these things easily. Okay, that you can achieve it from the dev studio. Okay, but still I would recommend to learn it from the App Studio, this because this is the this is the path going forward. So thank you very much, have a good day, bye.